The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is the main event.
This is the main event, Mark's Podcast. I'm your first host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, Cat Dad, and I'm throwing out an open challenge for a Thong Stink Face match. I am Troy. And with me, as always, is the main event collector and figure hunting warrior. He's the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia and the edge to my Christian for the benefit of those with flash photography. It's Greg. What's up, Greg?
What's wrong with you?
What? The Thong Stink Face match?
Yeah.
That was the hottest match on the card, man, for multiple reasons.
No, it was terrible.
You don't say. You mean Thong Stink Face match between the Cat and Terri didn't draw the house? Come on now, I don't believe that.
You know what's funny? One of my notes for that, I'm just going to give it away now. They had this similar match at WrestleMania a couple months prior.
Yeah. Dude,
also, do you know who's not doing this show or WrestleMania 2000?
Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, it has become a new staple on the podcast, I think, for the last 2 or 3 months. We have to preface certain things by saying Vince Russo was not here.
Yeah, that's not good.
The main event storyline on this card seems right up his alley. Is that just me thinking that?
Bro.
It's like, bro, he's going to kiss his wife and they're going to fight over her, bro, because boobs. I just feel like that's unfortunately a thing. This is, yeah. And then, like we mentioned, the Thong Stink Face match.
Porno viewer, I'm entertained by this, bro.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Bro, she's going to walk in on Triple H and he's going to have the girl bent over, standing behind her, bro. Because, that naturally comes up. Well, I mean, something naturally comes up in that situation. But either way. I swear, this show wasn't all bad. There was some good stuff on the show. However,
I actually think there was quite a bit of good stuff on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I was so on it. I gave it like passing marks when I graded it at the end.
So we are.
Wow. But some other good crap, pal, happened on this show. It was very much this era of WWE. I feel like
it wasn't as good as the SummerSlam we were at just now. Yeah,
right. For those of you, this is go check out our videos on our Tube of You, and we posted and whatever. We were at SummerSlam 2023 in Detroit, Michigan, and I'll just say we had a good time. This SummerSlam went on pretty late, but
and ironically, the one we're going to is going on pretty early.
Yeah, right. It's like, actually, I can't say
the one we went to. Excuse me.
Yeah, right. I can't say this one went on late though. August 27th. That's about when they usually have it. Is towards the end of August.
Last year was in July. Don't forget.
Yeah, that one was weird. Like when you said it was in July, I'm like, okay, like cool, I guess. But normally it goes on around August 20-something-ish. So this one's not too far off, but the last 2 years, man, have just been really early. Kind of glad this one's going on in August because I'm booking up my weekends for the summer, man. I'm actually getting out of the house and doing stuff. Or excuse me, I have booked up my weekends and it's all passed and whatever. We're not in the can that far. But,
oh hell no.
Yeah, right. But either way, this is going to be the second half of this year has been my travel year, get out of the house year, and all that stuff. So I'm actually trying to see new places and experience new things. And I've never been to Michigan until recently.
Yeah, go blue.
F that. I normally would wear my Ohio State stuff up there just to troll, but I don't trust Michigan, so I'm just gonna leave it at home. I'm not even gonna wear anything red, so I'm just putting that out now. I'll stick to non-gang related colors. How about that? I think
I'll get
black
you.
and white are
I'll have you
safe.
covered with the college football attire, though.
So I should wear a shirt that says "I'm with stupid." No,
Well, I'm with Daddy, since that's what Michigan is to Ohio right now.
you get a couple wins and you get a big head on your shoulders. Your
Couple of
payback's
huge
coming.
wins.
Payback's coming. Either way, that's why when we were on that long win streak there for a while, some guy tried to talk crap, and I'm like, when was the last time Michigan beat us? And he's like, oh, well, you didn't have to bring that up. I'm like, you're talking crap. Of course I had to bring it up. Like, when you keep losing, why are you talking crap? That's my thing. That's why I will say I hate Michigan, but I'm not crap talking like, oh, we're superior or anything. Either way, let's forget about silly sports like football. We need to talk about the sport of kings, real sports that are totally not predetermined or anything, like wrestling. We're going to get into that after this break. But first, you want to thank the sponsor of the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Mauler Bros Golf. We all want to look good on the golf course, but it often comes at the expense of feeling good. Mauler Bros Golf has polos that look good and feel good. With their lightweight and stretchy materials that hugs your body, you will feel cool while looking just as cool. Their polos are guaranteed to make you look better, but it's up to you to golf better. On a hot summer day on the golf course, there's no polo that you would rather wear than Mauler Bros Golf signature polos. Mauler Bros Golf has a large catalog of polos with designs for those who want a loud design, and others for those that want a subtle and sleek-looking design. They also have fun t-shirts, hats, tumblers, and so much more to make your golfing experience better. Use code BELLYUP at maulerbros.com for 15% off. Listen to me. Listen, as a guy who has worn a lot of polos throughout his life, you need Mauler Bros Golf signature polos. Their polos are a comfortable, slim fit that will make you look and feel good when you're golfing with the guys. There have been way too many times I wore some generic polo shirt out on the golf course and I felt crappy the whole day. My game was off. I just was self-conscious. Not with Mauler Bros. Don't wait to try out your new favorite golf apparel. Upgrade your golf attire with Mauler Bros. Get 15% off at maulerbros.com with code BELLYUP. That's 15% off at MAHLER bros.com with code BELLYUP. Turn heads on the golf course or wherever you wear Mauler Bros polos. Mauler Bros Golf. Look good, feel good, play good. And now we're going to get into our first break. After this, it's news and notes, and strap yourself in, Greg, because it's a very WCW heavy news segment.
God, I wonder if it's going to talk about them potentially going out of business.
Yeah. But, they could turn the ship around. We don't know, Greg. Come on.
Turn the ship around, go to the bottom of the sea, whatever.
Yeah, right. I always like the Tony Schiavone line where he said they were a coffin on roller skates at this point. So nobody wanted to be there.
Oh, man.
But the first story definitely involves it's very heavy with Vince Russo, and we'll get into some of the nutty crap that he said. But
This is summer 2000, so yeah. Well, we got a couple months left.
yeah, right. And if anybody wants to listen to the review that we did of the WCW show this month, it was New Blood Rising. That was this month, right? Or was that July?
That was August. They
Okay.
replaced Hog Wild or Road Wild.
Oh, man. Yeah, and bro, when they replaced Road Wild, I cried, bro.
Tears of joy, bro.
Yeah, right. We did review the last Road Wild ever. If you want to go check that out in 1999. And we reviewed New Blood Rising, now in the archives. Go check that out.
Because we
Anyway.
hate you, we're recommending these shows.
Exactly. Our reviews are a lot better than the shows themselves. So,
I like to think.
yeah.
I've had a couple people tell me that, by the way. Not to bury a hole with myself.
Yeah, well, we actually have fun with it. We joke around. We laugh at it. We're not taking it seriously. So, yeah. Actually having to watch this crap, though. Ugh. But we'll get to it after this break, and we'll bring in news and notes.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
By God, somebody's interrupting the Main Event Marks. Sit down, JR. It's just me, Kyle Sullivan, aka Shaggy Von Doom, your host of Here in Puckburg on the Hockey Podcast Network. I know, a hockey show on Main Event Marks. Who would have thought? This is an invasion angle. Somewhere between the Nexus and when WCW tried to invade WWE, somewhere in there. But I'm over here just telling you that one half of your tag team champions over here, Greg, he told his story of his love for the game of hockey over on my show. And if you'd like to hear that story, all you have to do is search Here in Puckburg wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. In the meantime, Shagamania's got to go run wild on some other hockey show. So, just remember, quote the Raven, nevermore. Take your vitamins, say your prayers, and oh yeah!
Get ready to rumble! In your new Main Event Marks merchandise, we've got t-shirts, hoodies, masks, hats, stickers, pins, and much more on our Redbubble store. That's maineventmarks.redbubble.com. You can also pick up some awesome clothing items with the latest updated show graphics on our Bonfire store. That's bonfire.com/store/main-event-marks. Support your favorite retro wrestling podcast and pick up some cool swag on our Bonfire and Redbubble stores. That's maineventmarks.redbubble.com and bonfire.com/store/main-event-marks. The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/main-event-marks.
And we're back.
We're back.
If you're tuning into a wrestling podcast to hear about wrestling and you want it gimmick and politic free, you probably want the same out of your products. Are you ready to ditch the gimmick coffee? Coffee Brand Coffee is fresh roasted to order using only the highest quality coffee sourced direct from farms around the world. They've got bagged coffee as well as K-Cups. Not into coffee? Well, they've got great teas and cocos as well. At Coffee Brand Coffee, their head coffee roasters have mastered the art of unlocking flavors hidden inside their beans. Each batch is custom crafted and curated to accompany unique flavor profiles. Click on the link in the podcast description or go to coffeebrandcoffee.com and use our special promo code MAINEVENT, all one word, at checkout to get 5% off your order. That's coffeebrandcoffee.com and use the promo code MAINEVENT to save 5% at checkout. Got anything to crack? What
4 o'clock somewhere.
What zero sugar thing you drink it a day?
It is zero sugar. It's sparkling ice. And I got it from the official sponsor of the Main Event Marks, the Dollar Tree.
Exactly. Hey, I got something for you. There we go. It's Diet Dr. Pepper. Zero sugar, 0 calories. There you go. Hey, Dr. Pepper, you're my favorite. If you want to sponsor us, more power to you.
Better than Pepsi, right? Pepsi filled.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did want to say how before we went into the break, I drove you through a few of the things in the archives from around this time period and other years. So the reason we do that is so you know what we have done in the past. You can go check it out. And I've actually had people tell me, a mutual friend of ours said, well, I was listening to this show. You mentioned you did another show that I didn't know about, so I went and I listened to that. So there you go. That is why we mention it. So, and
there's other tip that you have archives. So
right, and some of the stuff if we've already talked about some of this before, we might have went into more detail on a previous podcast, and we don't want to repeat ourselves, so we might send you back.
Let's just be real. Sometimes we just forget that we already talked about this.
Yeah. And some of this comes back and it's like, oh, yeah. So go listen to us talking about it on there. He did mention, though, that it was Money in the Bank 2011. And he said some of our opinions did not age well on CM Punk and AEW.
Yeah, he was telling me that, too. And I just forgot what it was. Yeah.
Right. Because he told me some of the stuff you and I both said. And I'm like, yeah. Or if you listen to some of our current opinions, they don't always age gracefully. But the old stuff, that's why we talk about retro, because this stuff is evergreen. But speaking of which, I almost forgot. So before we get into the news and notes,
That is correct.
Shut the fuck up, Dave.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
It's the
but
best
we're about
part.
to talk. We're about to talk about Vince Russo. So I mean, correct? Or excuse me.
That is correct.
So
Fair assumption.
yeah, right. So here we go. Lots of drama in WCW as the company continues to
No.
circle the drain. Starting with a Vince Russo interview on WCW Live on their website, where he said all sorts of wacky stuff.
No.
Well, it's a weird.
I don't
day
believe anything
when-
you're saying right now.
It's a weird day when Vince Russo doesn't say wacky stuff. So, but first he mentioned that he has 60 weeks left on his contract and said that if
Wow.
yeah,
I'm sorry. When someone says 60 weeks, that tells me they're counting down to get the hell out.
yeah, right. It's like 60 weeks. Like, why would you not count that in years? Like, that's weird. But anyway, he said that if he somehow lasted that long, then he would leave pro wrestling forever, bro, when his contract was up.
Well, hold on. You got to look at what he said. He said if he lasted that long, he didn't last that long, so he didn't break his word.
Yeah, well, I mean, that
Maybe
was
she
a
didn't
caveat
something
to
didn't
it,
last that long. But
yeah, well,
if they boot my ass, I'm going to go ruin another company. We're going to call it TNA, bro.
bro, like boobs and ass. Like boobs and butts, bro. But there have been rumors of him leaving for a while, and they got stronger this week after some in WCW were upset about the poor Canada tour and a bad pay-per-view and bad TV shows.
What show? What
No.
what pay-per-view was that? Was that New Blood Rising?
Yes.
That's a general consensus is that's the worst pay-per-view they've ever put on. So bad may be the word for it.
Is that worse than Sin? I've still never seen Sin.
I would say yes.
Okay. Yeah, see, like I said, I haven't seen Sin. I know it's worse than Greed because I watched Greed and that had some
Greed was
high
actually
points.
pretty good.
Yeah, it had some high points. It wasn't a bad swan song for the company. I'll say that. I mean, it had
Considering they didn't
crap.
know it was a swan song.
right. The main event sucked a high hard one, but other than that,
But the best match in the card had a guy named Kwee in it. What does that tell you?
right. Yeah, it had who was it? Kwee versus Johnny Jet
Jason Jet.
or Jason Jet. That's it. And then or Easy Money, if you will. The other one was about the 500th time they did this match, but it was it 3 teams this time in the ladder match?
Was that? I thought it was Starcade.
I'm pretty sure one happened at Greed because they did like one a month, I swear. Like, I don't know. Now in the archives,
We say as we're about to review one of those matches.
yeah. Let's see. WCW Greed. Well, there was Team Canada, which consisted of Lance Storm and Mike Awesome over Hugh Morris and Conan.
Yeah, it's a real match.
Yep. There's the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Titles. It was Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo versus the Filthy Animals. That one wasn't terrible. I'll stick with that. Shane Helms and Chavo Guerrero wasn't terrible for the Cruiserweight title. Natural Born Thrillers versus Totally Buffed. That one sucked. But it was less than a minute, so whatever. Ernest Miller versus Canyon. That one was okay. I think Booker T versus Rick Steiner sucked. Oh, and this one was actually okay. It was, you remember Dusty and Dustin Rhodes versus Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett?
Mm-hmm. And
And
then
I
the
think,
loser had to kiss. They lost. Had to kiss Dusty's ass, right?
yep. That
And they ended
was
up kissing
great.
a horse's ass.
Yeah, he pulled his pants down and he had big red underpants on. Why? Don't
And
know.
they wrote Dusty's ass on the horse.
I forgot about that one.
How
So
did you forget that?
I don't know.
War
This
again with those
one-
press memories that this show brings out.
I don't remember this one. This is a different show than I was thinking. I was thinking it was Steiner and Booker T in the main event, but this one was Steiner and DDP. Falls Count
That
Anywhere.
was Mayhem, I want to say.
Yeah, in the cage match with the frickin' can't think of the name of it now. The coat.
Straight jacket.
Straight jacket, yeah.
That was not
sucked.
Russo either, I don't think.
Yeah,
That's a gray
I don't
area.
remember.
Maybe it could have been.
Steiner versus DDP, I don't remember at all. So you want to talk about repressed memories. I watched it. I swear to God, we reviewed it, but I don't remember. Either way, getting back to this, though. Basically, WCW executives are looking at Russo and realizing that every facet of the business is down and not getting better under his watch, and they're starting to ask questions. Now, it's a hell of a time to start asking questions. Look.
Head's barely above water. Now we start questioning stuff.
Yeah. Like, there's a giant hole in the boat. Your feet and ankles are wet, and you're like, maybe we should do something to patch that hole. Like, nah, it'll be fine. Let it go. But there's also some critical eyes on Booker T, who has not been getting over well as the champion and getting a lukewarm response in most cities. Yeah, kind of hard to argue that. I mean, what was that last Nitro we watched where he came out as a champion and people were just like, yay? Not like he's getting...
That was June or July 2000, right? Or 99.
Yeah, July of 2000. That was it. It was right before Bash of the Beach, I think. Or no, after, because he was champion. Yeah, so it was right after. But yeah, I don't think anybody cared. Unfortunately, Booker was great, but
And that opinion would change very fast.
Dude, you think...
when he went to the professional company.
Right. Dude, you think about this. He won his first world title in July. By the time they shut down in March of the next year, he's a 5-time champion.
Yep.
Like, what in the hell is going on there, man? Bro, nobody cares. Anyway, but most of the heat is on Russo, with many in the company losing confidence in his constant claims of how he's going to turn everything around without producing results, and are growing tired of his weekly excuses for why it's not getting better. Yeah, bro, it's standards and practices, bro. That's why. But during the interview, Russo also pushed for moving Nitro back an hour so that it could go head-to-head with Raw for the full 2 hours.
Oh, wow. Well, ratings suck, so what are we going to do? Go against the big dog. Wow.
Right.
Brilliant.
Look, we're only competing 1 hour right now, and they're kicking our ass. I think it would be better if we competed for both hours.
Oh, man.
Well, considering
let's be real, dude. He wanted to move it like that because they can get away with more stuff.
Yeah. Well, considering football season just started back and WWF is still on fire, Uncle Dave says a move like that would be suicidal, and apparently WCW knows it because they're not even considering it. Yeah.
Suicidal to the company that's already got the noose around their neck, waiting for someone to kick the chair. Okay.
Pretty much. Yep. Russo blamed his failure of WCW, or blamed the failure, rather, of WCW to recover on a lack of advertising to publicize to fans, and that this is a new product compared to the old WCW of a year ago. In what way?
I'll give him the new product part.
You
can't deny that.
Yeah, it kind of is, but at the same time, it sucked a year ago. It sucks now. I don't think your problem is advertising, man, because even the people who watch and could see this are tuning out. You don't need to advertise to them. Russo also said that WCW needs a celebrity angle similar to the WWF Mike Tyson angle a couple of years ago.
God, I'm trying to figure out what they would go with that if they did.
Yeah.
Where are we at? September 2000 or August 2000?
Yeah.
I can't think of any celebrities that come in.
Yeah, no clue. But WWF was already surging upward before the Tyson angle, and that boosted their momentum. But even without the Tyson angle, WWF would still be exactly where they are right now because they've been consistently putting out a hot product for the last several years. WCW,
and the guy with the black boots and black tights, that company couldn't market. He's kicking their ass.
Yep.
Well, maybe not right now because he's on the shelf, but
right. But WCW has done celebrity angles in the past with diminishing returns every time because the company was faltering.
Wait a minute, you mean the David Arquette thing didn't pay off?
Yeah, right.
I'm today's years old.
They got David Arquette. They got Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman, Jay Leno. I'm probably missing one or two.
At least most of those guys were able to do stuff in the ring, except for Leno, but they didn't do anything for him, though.
And Leno got to advertise 5 nights a week in prime time television.
On the number one late night show in history, by the way, at that time.
Exactly. Yep. But no, yeah, it's they need more celebrities. Gotcha. I feel like this is when.
Well, not everyone can get a Logan Paul or a Bad Bunny, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, now they're not just. I feel like WWE now is being a lot more picky with their celebrities. It's like, yeah, you're famous, but like, if we're gonna put you in the ring, you actually need to know what the hell you're doing. Like in the past,
they got a couple of good ones there.
Right. In the past, it was just like, oh, you're kind of famous. Let's bring you in. Like Jeremy Piven.
I was gonna say the whole guest host thing, yeah.
Yeah, all of that. And nobody gave a damn about that. I literally tuned out, and this is when I watched religiously. I literally tuned out of Raw for most of that year because I couldn't stand that crap. I would watch every once in a while, but I was more into TNA, and I think I watched SmackDown a lot during that era. But
SmackDown always blew away the flagship show. I find that funny.
There's only one era that they didn't, and it was when they stopped the roster split for a while. And you remember when it was SmackDown was basically like Raw reruns?
Yep.
It was like, oh, if you saw this match on Raw, you can see it again on SmackDown. Yay. But the other thing I'm thinking of here is, like, obviously WWF wasn't in as bad of a spot, but this screams to me like when Vince McMahon got LT to come in for WrestleMania, because he's like, we need something to get us publicity. We'll get LT. Like, why? Because he's famous. Okay. I don't know if it really paid off for him in the long run, because I think Pritchard was saying, like, it didn't really boost business. That WrestleMania objectively sucked. So, I don't know.
That wasn't even the best match on the card either.
No. But Russo also vowed that by January, WCW would only be 1 ratings point behind the WWF. Yeah.
I like that. Wait, hold on. Let me understand this. His long-term goal is to still be behind. Did you catch that?
Well, only by 1. I mean, if you're...
Oh, man.
I mean, I will say this. If you're, like, losing enough blood to die, a good goal is to slow the bleeding to where it's only a trickle. I mean, that's...
Yeah, so what you're saying is to slow down the death. It's going to be a slow, painful, agonizing death.
No, it's like slow down the bleeding to where it's like, I'm losing I'm still losing blood, but it's more manageable now. Like, I might be able to dress the wound a little better now.
Yeah, right.
So it's like,
I can't
all right.
believe that his recipe for success is only to lose by this much.
I guess it's
oh man.
I will say it's not a terrible goal considering they're being beat by, like, what, 3 points in the ratings now. So if you up it by 2, better. And then, like,
that's why Chris Jericho said his stupid crap about Dynamite beating Raw by September of last year, which just still failed to happen. At least he said we're going to win. You know?
Yeah.
Laugh at it all you want, and I do, but, you know, at least he was like, we're going to win. Not, hey, we're going to be half of what Raw's doing.
But I'll say this. I mean, looking at it now, obviously, we can be like, there's no way, whatever. At the time, Raw's ratings weren't great, and AEW was on AEW was on a station that had the capability of drawing better ratings. So it wasn't, like, insane to say that. It was improbable.
It kind of was insane.
Well, it was improbable, sure. Like
the flagship, really?
Like I just said, the ratings were not great at the time. Like, they're better now, but at the time they were pulling like 1 point whatever. So the ratings are not what they used to be. Like, SmackDown's getting great ratings, and they have for
I still maintain it's because there's a million ways to watch shows now, not on TV, that wouldn't be affected by ratings.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying nobody's watching it either. I'm just saying ratings are not what they used to be. So in theory, I mean, on TNT in prime time,
I think I was listening to an episode of Curtain Jerking, I think it was, when he said Sometimes he doesn't watch Raw. He's watch the YouTube recaps. I feel like somebody said they just watch the YouTube recaps and see it all on there. It was either him or maybe it was Apron Bump. But anyway, my point is, though, it just goes to show that people really aren't watching. They'll still see it and keep up with it.
The last time I consistently kept up with every single show, that's honestly how I would watch. I would watch Raw and SmackDown the next day, doing the recaps on YouTube, and I did that a few times with Dynamite as well. So that's how I kept up with wrestling for the longest time. It was quicker, easier, and I really didn't miss anything. I got I saw the whole show. It was just more condensed. So they condensed 3 hours into 30 minutes. I was like, good enough. But anyway, last couple things here. Vince Russo also claims that Kurt Angle is the only new star that the WWF has made since he left last year.
Okay.
I mean, maybe
we're about to see a ladder match in the show. We're about to do 6 guys I think are pretty big stars, but yeah, whatever.
Well, he's saying since he left a year ago, weren't all those guys there? Maybe he's claiming that.
You mean people that came in after him?
Yeah.
Technically, Kurt was there when he was there.
Yeah, so I'm surprised he didn't take credit for that.
But...
Well, if he wasn't on TV, maybe that's what he's getting at. But he and finally, he says that Madeja will be the next Sable. So for the third time in the story. I didn't put this in the news, but Uncle David brought this up a couple of times, and you can attest to this because you were watching at the time, right? WCW?
Yeah, I'm not bragging about it. Yeah.
Well, he had pointed out, he's like, in damn near every promo and every interview, at least multiple times per show every week, they remind us that WCW is a failing company and the product sucks and so-and-so is going to turn it around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, obviously it's true that all of that stuff, except for the turning it around part. But he's like, why would you keep saying it over and over, reminding us that your company sucks?
My only thought about that is they're trying to make the audience aware that they're aware.
Yeah, but it's like...
Which I still think is poor practice, but...
Right. It's like, yeah, you and I laughed at Vince McMahon. You had said something about you're watching 1995, and Vince McMahon's like, oh, this might be the greatest year in WWF history. And it's like, ha, yeah, right. But on the flip side, it's like he didn't come out and be like, you know what, our shows suck, but we're working to make it better. Like, no, quit coming out and reminding us that everybody sucks and everybody behind the scenes is a moron and like, whatever.
Really instills confidence in the audience for your showrunners.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying, hey, it sucks now, so don't watch. But come back maybe in a month or so. It might be better. Dumb. But WCW...
that Bischoff always says that people vote with their remotes, and very seldom do you get them back if they leave.
Yeah. If you keep telling them how much your show sucks, they're going to tune out, and they might tune back in like a month or so to see if something changed. And if you're still saying it, they're nope, still sucks. Bye. Click.
I'll never forget when they announced live on Nitro, Vince Russo and Ferrara, the creative guys, are coming here. Just pulling back the curtain right there on live TV.
Like, who gives a crap at that time? Unless you were, had your face in the internet all the time, which not a lot of people did back then. Like way less than today.
And if you do today, you got go outside.
Yeah, right.
Different tangent.
But back then, it's like you really had to be dedicated to stuff to, be on the internet all the time or read the newsletters and all that stuff. It wasn't just like freely all over the place. So it's like you literally had to be sitting in a dark basement all damn day on this crap. It's like nobody cared about who the writers were. Nobody knew. And if they did, it was like passively. And it's like, oh, who cares? Whatever. It's not like today where we know damn near the whole staff of every company.
Yep.
But anyway, WCW abruptly canceled the Saturday show this week, and for the first time since the early 1970s, there was no weekend wrestling programming on TBS. WCW Worldwide.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? WCW Worldwide, which is set to become a compilation show soon, is also in grave danger of being canceled. Eesh.
Well, I wouldn't, because I think that would be the last the WCW show ever shown.
WCW Worldwide?
Yeah, I actually just learned this like a couple of weeks ago on YouTube. I think it was
That's
Mike
nuts.
Tenay and Scott Hudson. They recapped Nitro where Vince bought it. So that technically was the last show.
No, Greg. Shane McMahon bought it. God.
Right.
Get it right.
My mistake.
Anyway. Yeah. You mean the two guys who would not go on to get jobs with the new company? Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott Hudson pops up for a second, but either way. The new taping schedule for WCW is expected to be a nightmare. The plan is to start tapings
as opposed to the dream scenario they have for everything else right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Well, the plan is to start tapings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. First, they tape a 2-hour Nitro that will air on a 1-hour tape delay. They won't schedule any commercial breaks in the taping, just going to rush through it, and then they will insert pre-taped backstage skits and whatnot to pad it out before it goes on air. This means that the production crew will still be editing the second hour of Nitro while the first hour is airing on TV.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this sounds great and, smart. But immediately after Nitro ends, they will tape Thunder and then have the next 2 days to insert pre-taped segments in to pad out that show. Considering WCW's notorious production issues over the last year, putting the production crew under even more of a stress and time crunch is a scary thought. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that bad.
My thing is, is that better than, is that worse than doing it live? I mean, maybe it is, but I figured that would give them more of a breather than if they have to do crap live. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way, here's the other big story involving Vince Russo. Hulk Hogan has filed a lawsuit against Vince Russo and WCW, which has many questioning just what exactly happened at Bash at the Beach. Many feel that the fact that Hogan filed a real lawsuit proves that everything that happened was a shoot. If that's the case,
Bro.
it really makes one question just what the hell is happening in this company with Vince Russo and, even more importantly, Brad Siegel. If it was a shoot, bro, that means that Russo screwed paying fans at the arena and on pay-per-view out of a heavily promoted match by double-crossing a star on live TV and putting WCW in the crosshairs of a lawsuit by cutting his childish promo after. Yeah. Well, also, the fact that
Nobody's ever going to know the whole truth about this, are they? It's like it's like Brawl Out. We hear stuff and all that. You don't know what happened.
Right. Well,
Just
also the fact
those two and God, that's it.
Yep, pretty much. But also the fact that Brad Siegel, head of the company, allowed it to happen without punishing Russo. Yeah, I can't believe that. Hogan's lawyer says that Russo's promo on Hogan wasn't part of the script and that his comments were defamatory and a breach of contract since Hogan's deal stipulates that WCW can't do anything to damage the character of Hulk Hogan. The lawyer insisted that the lawsuit is not a publicity stunt. Naturally, some in WCW still believe it is all a work because a lot of people in the business are conditioned to believe that everything is a work. Also, to be fair, WCW has given their wrestlers plenty of reason not to trust the management, given that Eric Bischoff and especially Russo's obsession with trying to work everyone backstage. Yeah. Uncle Dave
Brian
said...
Pillman's fault, if you think about it.
Yeah, a bit. But
he started this.
Him and Bischoff both, man. But Uncle Dave thinks that this lawsuit is pretty dumb because talking crap about a wrestler on a wrestling show is basically every promo ever. I mean,
not when it's the head
point.
Freaking writer. But...
Yeah, but he can say he was a character and whatever because he was on camera.
Oh, he was a character. In the way your grandma calls you a character.
Good Lord. Russo really was playing politics with Hogan over his contract, and his criticisms of Hogan and the problems with him in WCW weren't wrong. The final
Why
verdict...
would the head writer have a problem with his contract? It's none of his damn business.
I really don't know the extent of what the hell Russo did there. And maybe it was because of the things that were in Hogan's contract. Like, what the hell kind of contract is that? Creative control... You can't talk crap and defame my character. Not Terry Bollea, by the way. You can't defame the character of Hulk Hogan.
Right.
But The final verdict is that it was originally a work that turned into a shoot, bro, and the lawsuit was legit. Another thing that points to it being legit, by the way, that was pointed out here, was it's illegal to file a fake lawsuit. So unless that lawyer wants to be disbarred, then this is definitely a shoot.
Well, go look at that Rocky Khan lawsuit.
Well, that one, she's just effing nuts. That one, like, damn. I will say
that was a crazy collective group of people she had in that thing, man.
Yeah, right. Didn't you say Michael Jordan or something was in there?
Yeah. My favorites were Michael Jordan, The Rock, and Chris Benoit.
People she never worked with ever, by the way. Most of them never even met her or know who she is. But she claimed
Jim Cornette had a field day with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jim Cornette was in the lawsuit, too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he was in the company when she was there.
I think he said he had met her, so maybe.
God. Like, why would this eclectic group of randos from across the world be threatening to kidnap, of all people, you and your kid? Give me a break.
She was suing a freaking corpse, by the way. I'm not trying to be funny, but she was.
Yeah.
So
I want to know. I really want to know what was in this lawsuit, like what she was alleging happened. Because I
didn't read any of it, but
yeah, I just want to know. It's like, why do you think all this? Like, what? Like, obviously, it's nuts, and it would just be like reading the ramblings of a lunatic. But still, like, good God, what? I can't even begin to think of where she would come up with this crap, other than, like I said, she's a nut. But getting back into WCW here, Kevin Nash has been pushing to be given the WCW title at Fall Brawl, arguing that Booker T isn't getting over as a champion, and every time the two of them have been in confrontations on TV recently, the crowd has been cheering for Nash more.
Why is that the only solution in his head? Take tell. Turn him heel or something?
Okay. Oh, give me the belt. But what if we do that? Nope, I gotta have the belt.
Sorry, we already did that.
My thing is, you ever hear his stuff where he's talking about, I don't care about the belt because I'm not a mark. Like, really? Because it sure seems like you were always politicking to get the belt.
Unless it was ever proven that he got a pay bump when he got the title.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think your contract is kind of what it is. Because it's not, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But, like, I'm not a mark. I don't care about the belt. By the way, that guy's not getting over. Give me the belt.
He kind of thinks high of himself. That's,
I mean, that's cool and all, but it's like, he's always, maybe it's because he gets more TV time. I don't freaking know. It's like, don't you get paid the same whether you're out in front of the people or if you're sitting on your ass on your couch? Like, whatever. Aside from Rey Mysterio,
I don't think he would get the title from him, by the way. I think it'd go Scott Steiner and that's it.
Yeah. Aside from Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera, every single Mexican wrestler on the roster was let go from WCW. Most of them hadn't been used lately anyway. They will be missed.
They kept the great one at least.
Yeah, right.
I thought
and Rey Mysterio.
That loser Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I both had the same thought. Well, Juventud Guerrera was the greatest wrestler on the planet, according to Uncle Dave. So there's that.
Yeah.
On the planet. Remember that.
You would think he wrestled in Tokyo Dome every night or something.
Yeah, right. And he's at least a fraction Japanese. But nope. WCW, speaking of him, WCW offered Juventud Guerrera a contract, and it's said to be a very low guarantee compared to what the rest of the roster is making. But he's the greatest wrestler on the planet. We just established this.
You're going to lowball the greatest wrestler on the planet? Really?
The bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. But his contract came up for renewal at a bad time since WCW is in massive cost-cutting mode. The new deal is around $2,000 per show, which would be good money if WCW was working a full schedule. But they're only doing 5 shows a month now, and there's no guarantee that Juvi will be booked on all or even any of them. WCW is also interested in him, but they're offering even less money. I wonder why. There's no word on if WWF is interested because of his size.
They're not. He would be there at one point though, but they're not interested.
Yeah, riding on the back of a freaking lawnmower.
Apparently, that was his idea.
Yeah, and the fact that nobody stood up and went, maybe not.
Yeah, this could be conceived as a racial stereotype or something. Bad press. No.
Yeah, right. Well, think about, dude. I'm sure it was like different years, but I feel like it was all around the same time period. You had the Mexican guys riding to the ring on lawnmowers. You had a guy pretending to be special needs. You had a guy of Mexican heritage pretending to be white. Like, God dang it, man. I'm sure and you had a fake Muslim guy bringing out guys that look like terrorists to wrap piano wire around the Undertaker's neck.
Yeah.
What the F is going on, man? The lead.
Would you throw the gay wedding in there too?
No, yeah, there was the fake gay wedding. Well, they're not really gay. We just, made a big publicity stunt out of it. And by the way, we got on magazine covers or whatever, so good for them, I guess.
Billy did admit that if he was gay, he'd marry Chuck, though, remember?
Yeah, right?
So that's okay.
Exactly. You want to know the weird one is the one they treated, like the nationality they treated the best, I think, was the French. They had La Resistance, who were, by the way, not real French. They're French Canadian.
One of them
so that doesn't really count.
One of them was French. And wasn't René Dupree really French?
No, he's from Quebec. You remember when he completely switched his gimmick when he was in ECW for a minute and he started wearing the Quebec flag?
I don't.
Yeah, and he grew his mustache out, and like a mustache and beard, and he didn't wear the French flag anymore. He wore the flag of Quebec. And I'm like, you're not even French either?
Paul Conway was American, though, right?
Yes, yeah. He was a French sympathizer, so him.
Yeah, they've done that a couple times. Slaughter was an Iraqi sympathizer.
Yeah, right.
I mean, hell, it kind of started with the Rougeau brothers in the 80s. They were French Canadians who wanted to be American, remember?
Yeah, all American boys.
So it kind of starts there when you think about it. Damn it, pal, you're not where you say you're from.
Yeah, right. Well, and the other one that just popped in my head was where they wanted to make Kenzo Suzuki into Hirohito, and he was gonna go with the whole Imperial Japan crap. Like, yikes!
Guarantee they would have had him praising Pearl Harbor. Guarantee it.
Yeah, right. Talking about he's gonna. Well, and they would have brought back the old Gorilla Monsoonism, where every time he would attack somebody from behind.
Oh
JR
yeah, Pearl Harbor job.
Yeah, JR would be like, "All right, Pearl Harbor."
Man,
Yeah,
that was a dated reference then.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh wait, this is like the 90s and the 80s. It's like a way to go back, 40 to 50 years in the past.
One thing you got to give WCW credit for, and it's kind of off there, but with that, was it the Final Solution thing? They decided to pull that. Thank God. But
Yeah, called him the ultimate solution. That was great. Well, remember when they had Berlin and his video had like Nazi stuff in it?
Yep.
That was great. Speaking of him, though, Alex Wright,
God.
Kurt Hennig, Lenny Lane, Christopher Daniels, Jim Duggan, Brian Knobbs, Elizabeth, and Mike Rotunda were all released from WCW.
That's a crazy ass crew.
Yeah, right. Uncle Dave did say, he's like, I have no idea why they released Christopher Daniels. He was barely making anything, so it's not like they're freeing up any cap room. And he's like a good up-and-comer that, they probably could have used.
You don't say.
Yeah, right. He wasn't better than half the roster or anything.
Get rid of Hacksaw, though, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, no. They released Jim Duggan. No.
Was he Canadian still when they released him?
I don't remember. I didn't follow the last couple of years of Jim Duggan's career. I tried not to follow the first few years, so. But Marcus,
that's one of the toughest men in the history of the planet, dude. I'm being serious. You'll beat cancer 3 times, and you're a weak link.
Yeah. But Marcus Bagwell's future is said to be in doubt. He has 6 months left on his contract. but he's been in the doghouse for a while because he throws a fit every time he's asked to do a job and is just generally not well liked.
That's going to age well.
Yeah.
Fast forward to June of 2001.
Yeah, you ain't sticking around in the new company very long either, buddy. And I'm sure this one will, broke little Conrad's heart. Prince Iaukea is also on the chopping block. His contract is...
That is the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea.
Yeah, exactly. His contract is due up in November, and he was trying to negotiate a better deal, and WCW instead decided to just bench him for the rest of his deal and not re-sign him. This one, I'm not being sarcastic. I wonder why. Like, they were heavily using him for a while. And it's like, how much money was he really making that it's like, are they freeing up a ton of cap room? Yeah. Maybe they just didn't feel like they were getting a return on investment. I don't know. But lots of wrestlers in WCW have been trying to put feelers out to the WWF to see if they can jump ship. However,
I don't think many of them do, honestly, after this.
No. No discussions have taken place. Oh, go ahead.
The main ones were already there. Radicals and Jericho.
Yep. But no discussions have taken place because everyone is still under contract, and WWF won't talk to anyone for fear of catching a contract tampering accusation. Word is that WCW is looking to slash the talent budget anywhere from $12 to $20 million, and in order to do that, they're going to have to start releasing some of the bigger name stars. Cutting all those undercard contracts won't even make a dent in the losses WCW is trying to recoup. A lot of speculation is that guys like DDP, Kimberly, Lex Luger, Canyon, Buff Bagwell, and Juventud Guerrera are bigger names that may still be in danger of being released soon in order to cut costs.
Juventud Guerrera is one of the bigger names.
Yeah, that was...
He really did fall in love with that guy, didn't he?
Yeah, really. Well, my other question is, like, you look at this list, Kimberly, how much money is Kimberly raking in? And if she is raking in a lot of money, why?
Why?
Yeah. Bro, boobs.
And they were there.
Yeah, right. WWF is said to have zero interest in Lex Luger for obvious reasons. As for others, there's interest, but WWF realizes that they're in a position where they don't need any of those people. So if they want to jump ship, they're probably going to be offered less money than what they're making in WCW now. Several of the top stars have contracts that stipulate that they can't be fired, so which, is super smart on WCW's part. So in order to release them, WCW would have to buy out the remainder of their contracts, which defeats the purpose of releasing them to save money. Even if every single wrestler in WCW worked for free, they'd still be on pace to lose $40 million this year.
Jeez.
Yeah. I will say, in their defense about that number, Eric Bischoff pointed out, he's like, that's not all from WCW. Turner Corporate wanted to offload a lot of their losses, so they fixed the books in a certain way and just kind of offloaded all their losses onto WCW to make it look like WCW was further down than it actually was. And mainly because they were trying to kill it. Like, we're probably gonna kill this thing anyways, just put all our losses on that.
I mean, gonna kill it. They've already done it.
Yeah, well, it's still on life support at this point. They haven't officially pulled the plug, but it's coming. Who is not coming, though, is Super Crazy is interested in coming to WCW. He's been out of ECW for a while with visa issues, but that's all cleared up, and he's just not being used right now because ECW isn't flying people in for most shows unless necessary to cut down on expenses. Yeah, I remember that. He was almost gone forever, bro.
He'll be back in ECW, though. I believe he's on the last show.
Yeah, I believe so. Billy Kidman did some angle where he was hanged by Shane Douglas a while back, and it apparently really did injure his larynx.
Oh, my God.
Doing the spot, and he will be out for a few weeks. Smart. That's why you and I talked about those, like, any kind of collar matches are, like, legitimately some of the most dangerous matches in all of wrestling. I wouldn't want to do it.
Your neck is just out there.
Right. You've really got to trust the person you're working with, and you got to know what the hell you're doing, too. I wouldn't want to do it. I know that. This one, man, so, pour one out, man. Sean Stasiak is believed to have torn his ACL. No!
Did ACL tears clear up quicker back then, or what? Because he's on the last Nitro, so.
Yeah, maybe he didn't tear it. Well, and then he was used quite a bit for a while in WWF, wasn't he?
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And then he became just like a complete idiot. Wasn't he like running into crap and whatever? Like they just made him
talking to the aliens or something.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, he would look up in the sky and start talking to people.
Good God. Yeah, they just literally made him like he was one step above drooling on himself, basically.
So what was the high point of his career? That or meat?
I'd rather be meat. At least get to hang around hot chicks at that point. But on Nitro, Vampiro and the Insane Clown Posse came out, and Vampiro was holding the title belt for ICP's JCW promotion, which Uncle Dave notes outsells a ton more videos than WCW ever could. For weeks now, JCW videos and DVDs have been charting high up on the Billboard sports videos list, along with WWF videos. While WCW, no clue. While WCW is never even in the top 20. They even tried to play it off as a JCW invasion angle, but of course, nobody outside of ICP's fan base even knows what the hell a JCW even is.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yep. I like how they sell a lot of DVDs, but nobody knows who the hell they are. That's hilarious.
Probably accidentally thought they were WWE DVDs or something.
Oh, it's wrestling. There you go. Or they did have a decent sized fan base, I'll say that. So it's like, so all their fans just bought multiple copies of the DVDs, maybe? I don't know.
Literally what AEW's hoping happens with the video game.
Buy 3 to 4 copies a piece, please, God.
One for each system.
Yeah, exactly. The Stacy Keibler David Flair wedding angle is expected to happen in October, which coincides with the expected return of Ric Flair. Lots of rumors.
I think all that happens.
And lots of rumors are that the story will end up being that Ric Flair is the father of Stacy's baby. For that part, part of that happens, like you said.
There's always a kernel of truth in everything he says. That's what Bischoff said.
Yeah. What was not correct about it was she's not pregnant. Her, quote, baby is Sean Stasiak.
Yep.
Yeah. Or, excuse me.
Right.
This is all real, folks.
Unfortunately.
All real.
Who the hell could make this up? Well, I guess one idiot did. So at the Thunder
Bro,
tapings,
we never said it was going to be a human baby.
bro, it's a human, but it's not a baby, bro. It's a grown man. He's a baby. At the Thunder tapings last week, Lance Storm wrestled twice, and there was a long delay during the taping. The reason is because
there was 2 guaranteed good matches on this taping. Got it.
Probably. The reason is that the Cat was supposed to pin Jacques Rougeau clean, but Rougeau refused to do the job.
God. Is this in Canada?
It doesn't say.
It has to be.
Yeah.
This is a
But
thing with them.
Well, he refused to do the job and ended up quitting the company over it. So that threw plans in chaos backstage.
Oh, yeah, because they had big plans for the Cat to pin PCO.
No, this is Jacques.
Whatever.
The Mountie.
Yeah, there was huge plans for both these guys after this match, right? This was the catalyst to Hogan Andre style feud. Got it.
Well, yeah, the Cat can't get over unless he pins the Mountie, damn it. I don't know why you're making a joke out of this.
Because it is a joke. I'm not making anything.
But they had to change things on the fly.
Holy shit, dude. The fact that Rougeau or PCO, whatever, they've both done this multiple times. Yep. That's sad.
Never drew a dime.
Nope.
Anyway, Rougeau said in a newspaper interview in Montreal this week, that he didn't come back to WCW to be a jobber, and that you can't be a big money player in the business if you're going to do clean jobs on TV.
Oh my God. And at what point were you a big money player?
Right. Well, a lot of people backstage kind of scoffed at that, considering he's 43 years old.
You don't say.
And he's Jacques Rougeau. He's never going to be a big money player.
I feel like we should have led with that.
He's never going to be a big money player, and everyone but him knows it.
Look, there's like, thinking high of yourself, and then there's being high. Which one do you think he was?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like you mentioned PCO, Pierre Carole.
Perfectly created or organism, right?
Yeah.
You know what that stands for?
Something like that. But he refused to do the job to Diesel, back when Diesel was WWF champion up in Montreal, because at a house show, by the way, because he said, "Oh, it's Montreal, and if I lose to the world champion, well, then, that just kills my credibility and my drawing power." And
as opposed to the drawing power that the Pirate had.
Right. Well, it's drawing power in Montreal, Greg, because as we all know, when you're in the WWF, the biggest thing you got to worry about is how am I going to draw in Montreal?
Ironically, the biggest draw in Montreal is the American.
Right.
Okay, whatever.
It's like you've got Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. There you go.
And PCO and the Mountie and Dino Bravo.
Yeah, right. Yikes. And my favorite was when they finally got it all worked out, and he agreed to go out there and do a count out job and whatever. And he was like, "Oh, well, the fans are, going to be like, 90 for me, 10 for you." And then they get out there, and Diesel has him down in a headlock. He's like, "Sounds more like 70-30 me. You want to change that finish?"
What is it with, like, I thought you were going to say Canadians, just Montreal people thinking they're huge straws.
Right.
You ever hear, like,
my
Austin
thing is, like,
saying, "Oh, I'm not losing in America."
Well,
or all Americans always Cena. "Oh, I can't lose in America."
Well, I could get, like, I guess it would be more like, Austin being like, "Well, I can't lose in Texas." That's like, okay, whatever. But even then, dumb. And my thing is, like, it's called the World Wrestling Federation. How often do you go through Montreal? And by the way, are they that fickle in Montreal where if you lose to the world champion, they're like, "Wow, this guy sucks. I'm never going to pay to see him again."
Yeah, I might speak to your fan base there.
Yeah, right?
Other thing, too, is people, I don't know if they jokingly say, but they're like, "Oh, Montreal's not part of Canada. It's just there."
They say it's Bizarro World and earn that title.
Ironically, two of the biggest things in wrestling right now are from Montreal.
Yeah, right. But they started doing an angle with Mark Madden where he would
feud
with
Steelers.
I agree.
Sorry.
Get it in there.
It just triggers me. I just got to say it. We don't agree on much sports-wise, but I think we do on that.
Yeah, that one for sure. They started doing an angle with Mark Madden where he would feud with and wrestle women, starting with backstage interviewer Pamela.
I wonder where they got that idea from.
Yeah. But the angle has been dropped. Vince Russo actually wanted
Thank you, Jesus.
Vince Russo actually wanted Madden versus women matches to be a shoot, bro. Similar to
give her a bonsai drop, bro.
Bro, his boobs are bigger than hers, bro. So he wanted it to be similar to Andy Kaufman's famous women's matches.
There it is.
Many of which really were shoots. Didn't they just do this with Oklahoma?
Yeah, he was feuding with Medusa, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Well, and didn't he come out talking crap about women, whatever?
Yeah, basically being a misogynist pig, saying they should be in the kitchen and all that stuff.
What is it with Russo doing that? He did that crap in WWF with China. You remember that? Like,
I believe that's one of his last shows ever, right? Was the Good Housekeeping match, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the whole story there was Jeff Jarrett being a misogynist to China and all that. That's what led up to the Good Housekeeping match. Like, this guy is just a creep, dude. Speaking of creeps, though, WCW Valet.
You know, you would think he was like. I want to tread softly here. You can cut this if you have to. You would think he hates women or something. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
like the way he is. Can't stand women, bro. Hate them all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a reverse feminist.
Right.
But WCW Valet Leah Meow hasn't been used on TV in months. You ain't kidding. But she has not been fired. Apparently, a while back, she filed a complaint to Turner HR department over an unnamed wrestler's alleged inappropriate behavior. So
yeah, you knew where that was going when you said that.
Yeah. So the Turner executives feel like they can't fire her right now. We never do find out who this was. I mean, we can make assumptions, but
Sean Stasiak.
Why is that his third mention on the show?
That's gonna be the title of this episode.
When you look like that, yeah, right. But when you look like that, you really need to be inappropriate with women. Like, can't you just like be like, "Hey, look at my pecs"? I don't know. Women out there, was he a good-looking man? Help us out.
His name was Meat. He better have been.
Yeah, he used to wrestle in tighty whities. This one actually does come
So
true.
did I. I get my wrestling buddies when I was a kid.
Wow. In 2001, WCW plans to change the names of many of their pay-per-views. Starrcade, Halloween Havoc, and Bash at the Beach are expected to remain the same, but the others will now be given new names.
Well, let's see. We did get Sin and Greed. I think Super Bowl remained.
So
he
my
wasn't
thing is,
lying. I mean, they just didn't get them all.
Yeah. So, yeah, because they ended the calendar year in March. Well, my thing is, that leads me to think, were they going to go through all the 7 deadly sins or whatever? Were we going to get a lust and a gluttony?
Bro, lust. I think I just answered your question right there.
What was the one that was revenge?
Super Brawl.
Yeah, so we got Super Brawl Revenge. So
yeah, you might have hit right on that. Yeah.
Yep. Tune in to Lust, bro. There's gonna be boobs everywhere.
He's gonna do it with his neighbor's wife, bro.
He's got lust in his eyes, Hogan. We haven't hit this one in a while, and it's only one story, but I wanted to get it in. So, what's going on in Mexico?
What did Vampiro do now?
Nah, it's not him, but this one isn't like a bad story, but it's just funny. By the way, Greg is my get out of jail free card on playing that, by the way, so at least half of him.
Well, most of my dad's family side is, yeah.
There you go. It's like when he makes a joke about the mob, which, by the way, does not exist. I'm just get out of jail free on card on that one. At least 1/4 of me. But Bill Mascaras said in an interview that he plans to run for office in the Mexican Senate in the 2003 election. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Does that ever happen?
Well, he said that he would unmask when he begins campaigning, but he wouldn't commit to retiring from the ring if he won. So he would wrestle during the week and go. Yeah, so he'd wrestle one night and go vote the next day. But
that's a hell of a way to run a campaign, dude, if you think about it.
Yeah, right. But this isn't the first time Mascaras has talked about running for office, but he's never done it. He actually never did, and he has never been unmasked to this day. So there you go. And you know he would have won, Greg, because he does Noyab.
Oh, and Inoki won, didn't he?
Yeah. I didn't think. I don't know if Inoki did win. I know he ran. I can't remember if he won or not. Which was weird because of how popular he was. Maybe people were like, maybe we shouldn't vote based on, celebrity status. Hiroshi Hase, he was in office for a while over there. I think a pretty prominent office. For people that don't know who Hiroshi Hase is, have you ever heard of the Muda scale for bleeding? He's the one that made Muda bleed that bad. So, yeah.
Now it's a Moxley scale.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, Hiroshi Hase had a sweet mullet. I mean, that thing was awesome.
High and tight.
And Japanese. So, it's a 7-star mullet.
Did you have another later one? Masahiro Chono.
That was a unique mullet. That one was like, wow. He was here to party, to do business, and to whoop ass all at the same time. Now let's do this one. Let's go to Japan for one story.
What you get out of jail for you hurt with this one?
That one. Send your tweets to @main_event_marks. Anyway, Dos Caras Jr. made his debut at a small indie show in Japan, teaming with his father. Caras.
Who's that?
Yeah, well, Caras Jr. is 23 and has been training to compete in the Sydney Olympics as an amateur wrestler, but Mexico isn't going to send a wrestling team this year, so that's not happening. He's been holding off on going pro to try his luck at the Olympics, but he'll be 27 the next time they roll around, and he feels that he can't wait another 4 years just for the chance to do it again, so he decided to finally follow in his father's footsteps. Word is that he looked very good for his first match. This would be Alberto Del Rio / Alberto El Patron. Yeah, and he would go on to
stay away
have some...
from Mirko Cro Cop.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and he would go on to have some success in wrestling and then F it all up. So yeah, good times, man. I guess final soundbite it's your favorite. I only got one story, but I know you're a stickler for this, so I'll hit it. This week in ECW. If I may have one story, sir.
If I may, sir.
So the latest on the ECW USA Network negotiations is that they're possibly looking at putting the show on an 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. time slot on Saturday nights, which would mean that there wouldn't be nearly as many concerns over content, but it's far from a done deal.
Wow, I never heard of that before.
Yeah, and as far as that show happening, never happens. Sucks for them. Rena Mero, a.k.a.
The entire company sucks.
Yeah. Rena Mero, a.k.a. Sable, was on Inside Edition this week, mostly plugging her book. In other news, Sable apparently has a book.
Whatever.
Yeah. She also mentioned that the TV series that she was scheduled to star in with Dennis Rodman, called The Consultants, never got past developmental and is no longer happening. I wonder why. That just sounds awesome.
Oh, man. What a duo that would have been, huh?
Right? Which one would have wore the dress in this show?
Yes.
There you go. Big Show recently underwent an MRI that shows that he has a herniated disc in his lower back, so he's going to be out for a while recovering from that. When he's ready to go again, he's still going to be sent to OVW to get back into shape and won't be brought back to WWF until they feel that he's where they want him to be.
I'd be brought back and win the WWE title. Right? This is 2000. No, he's already done it. He's going to come back to Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble 01 is returning?
The archives. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. That was a pretty good show of ours, if I do say so myself. And the pay-per-view is good, too. So, the USA Network is still appealing the court decision they lost a while back to try to keep Raw from going to TNN. This is actually a win-win case for the WWF. If the judge upholds the ruling, then the WWF gets to jump to TNN like they want to. However, if the judge does overturn the original ruling, then that would reopen negotiations with both sides, and the WWF will be back in the middle of a bidding war. Even if they stay on the USA Network, USA will have to match Viacom's offer, so no matter what happens here, WWF is going to make a whole bunch of money regardless. And they do.
Oh.
Yeah, they're making a buttload of money now from Viacom. Or is it? No, not Viacom. NBC Universal.
And Fox.
Yeah. Fox just backed a U-Haul truck full of cash up to Vince's doorstep. It was like, here you go.
Here's a check.
Sir, here is a check with my name on it. Write down any number on this piece of paper and I will pay it.
And then I think Vince said the same thing to Roman Reigns, but either way. With all the talk of UPN going under or getting bought out, there are rumors of Rupert Murdoch's Fox, Viacom discussions happening. WWF is in a good position there, too. SmackDown gets great ratings, and if UPN goes away, SmackDown would become a free agent show and would likely have a lot of networks, stronger ones than UPN, bidding for it as well.
Like My Network TV.
Yeah. Did they go there first, or did they go to Sci-Fi first?
I think they went to Network TV first.
Okay.
You guys didn't have that out there, did you?
I think we did. It was like buried.
Someone we mutually know said they could never watch it because they didn't air it out there, or you didn't have My Network TV. So.
I think I watched it, but I don't know.
I remember that being like the worst period in the history of SmackDown. It just sucked.
Yeah, I know. It was like, that's why I'm thinking I watched it, but I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. And then they were on Sci-Fi. They were on the CW for a minute. But I think that was
CW was UPN though. So
yeah, so that's what I was about to say. After because UPN merged with WB and made the CW, and I think that's when they were on CW for like a minute, and then they went to that My Network TV crap. And then after Sci-Fi, did they go to USA?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of a lateral move, though, because they're both owned by NBC Universal. So,
right. I want to say they only went to Sci-Fi to like ride out the remainder of that ECW contract that they had with them.
It probably was, yeah.
Like, you got to put something on here, damn it. ECW ain't cutting the mustard. Like, I wonder why.
Sci-Fi is they moved to Tuesdays, wasn't it?
ECW is on Tuesdays, I believe.
Raw NXT.
Raw will be pushed back 2 hours later than normal for the next 2 weeks because USA will be airing the US Open Tennis Tournament. These yearly preemptions and time slot changes are one of the things that Vince McMahon complained about on the stand during the USA trial.
Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, I know.
And
Bruce
the dog
Pritchard
show
complained about that too. Yeah, he was like, a damn dog show. Like, they got way better ratings than the dog show, and I'm pretty sure they got better ratings than the US Open. But, oh well, tough crap. This one, yikes. Steve Austin and Deborah are expected to be getting married in the next few weeks. Let's see how that one works out.
Go do it.
Yeah. Man, that freaking sucks, man. It's like, I learned a lot of things about Steve Austin after this that I didn't want to know. I'll say that. But final story I got here. TV Guide ran a big cover story on WWF and quoted Vince McMahon talking about the decision.
What is TV
Guide? Hey, Google it, everybody. It was a magazine back in the day. And it would tell you, like, what was it, the next week worth of shows?
It was about the size of a tablet, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it wasn't very big, but it was thick enough where, didn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it like they told you what was on TV for the next week?
Yep.
Yeah, so instead of, the on-screen guide that you can pull up now for stuff, you didn't have that back then, so you had to get this little book, and the book would tell you what's like on what channel.
Store, too.
Yeah. Get that with your newspapers, that stuff that you read on Twitter, but this was in longer form.
Did you ever see the episode of Fresh Prince where Ashley asked Will, did you ever have an after-school itinerary? He goes, yeah, the TV Guide.
Wow. Yeah, I remember TV Guide used to be a huge thing.
I think it still exists in some form, digitally. Right. I think
my grandparents used to have one all the time because, like, when you got the big tube TVs, they didn't really have the guide on them.
Yeah, the guide didn't really come until like 2000, 2001 or so.
I remember the first time we had an on-screen guide. I was 2002, I want to say. That was like, because we had switched to digital cable, and that was like a big deal. I'm like, holy cow, I can flip through the channels and see what's on right now. Like, before, I just like channel surfed until I found something.
When my mind was blown when they introduced DVR, I could rewind TV. That was insane.
Dude, my dad, like, we had TiVo at one point. That was our first one, was TiVo. And my dad just abused the crap out of it during football season. Like it was really annoying to watch football games with him because it's like they're going to show a replay. You don't have to rewind it. But anyway, TV Guide ran a big cover story on the WWF and quoted Vince McMahon talking about the decision to admit that wrestling is fake and how that helped them position themselves as entertainment and opened a lot of doors. This leads to Uncle Dave to recount a conversation that he had with McMahon in 1992, in which McMahon accused Uncle Dave of, quote, telling the public that there's no Santa Claus.
Oh.
Yeah. So
ironically, it didn't open any doors. It closed doors, the tax doors. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it got the sports commissions out of their back pocket there. But I like how I realized it was like way before Vince did it. I like how Vince is like, damn it, you're ruining it. You're telling everybody it's not real. And then like a couple of years later, he's like, F it, it's not real. Yeah. Vince is weird. As we can tell.
The problem is the wording.
Yeah. Well, a lot
of cartoons aren't real.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Vince is, I think we've established, he's very moody. Like 1 week, he's like, God, that idea sucks. And the next week, he's like, do it. Put it on TV. Or vice versa. He'll be all gung-ho, and the next week, God, that guy's a jobber. I can see him saying that. Or, and then the talent's like,
Me, right?
anyway. That brings us to our next break. On the other end of this, we're getting into the event at hand. You ready, Greg?
Actually, I am.
All right, well, let's crank it up to 10 and dive into SummerSlam right after this break.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. Ugh. Another wrestling podcast. How many times can I listen to fans tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days? Enough! The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday. Bump Day. Yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks.
And we're back. This is WWF SummerSlam 2000. This is the second to last SummerSlam that would go under the WWF banner. The date was August 27th, 2000. From the Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina!
You hear that, Grundy? That's how you do it.
I'm wondering, now I got to ask. I got to message him now that I just now thought of it. I wonder if he was there. It seems like he goes to all of these. I think he said before, he basically goes to like every wrestling show that comes through North Carolina. So I don't know how far Raleigh is from him, but the attendance for this one was 18,000 people. That is a butt ton. And the buy rate was 1.4, which amounted to 570,000 buys. I'm assuming you were one of them.
Yep.
Or you watched at your neighbor's house who had the scrambler.
This is 2000? Yeah, definitely my friend's house. In high school still.
Yeah, so there you go. But we get another old film-looking video. Yeah, right. Look, I just watched it, okay? I don't own nothing, all right? You know what I'm saying? But we get another old film-looking video where classy Freddie Blassie was watching clips of shows while classical music played and weird crap happens all around him. They sure loved doing this back during this era. We then finally come into the arena where all the pyro shoots off, and JR lets us know that we are NWO sold out.
We have been for months.
Yep. But right here, our first match is a 6-man. It's Right to Censor, Steven Richards, Bull Buchanan, and The Good Father taking on Rikishi and Too Cool, which is Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay. It was just over 5 minutes. Before the match, Steven Richards gets on the mic and says that he's shocked that people from the Bible Belt are booing the RTC.
The hell's the Bible Belt?
It's like the southern states that are like really like have a lot of churches and are like really Christian and religious, whatever. I don't know the exact location of where it goes, but yeah. It's definitely in the South, I'll say that. But Too Cool end up cutting him off. Rikishi comes out with Good Father's former hose.
Right.
That's what they called him. So
real names.
Yes. It's on their driver's license. It just says hose. But one of them is Victoria, by the way. During the match, the hose try to hit the Good Father, and Good Father manhandles him to the ground. He just freaking shoves their asses. Like,
bro,
damn.
Abuse the women, bro.
Bro, beat up the hose. Felt bad just saying that. Either way, fans start chanting, "Save the hose! Save the hose!"
Why wouldn't that be a chant?
Oh my God. So much for the Bible Belt. In the end, Scotty goes for the worm, and Steven hits a super kick to win. Uncle Dave gave this a star. I gave it a 1.5 stars. What say you?
I gave it 1.
Yeah.
Not a good opener.
Yeah.
Not a good curtain jerk. Now available on Main Event Mark's YouTube.
Yeah, right. So what you're saying is...
not good. Believe me, not good.
Not good. Bad. Very bad.
Bad. Anyway, when Kurt Angle walks into the building, Jonathan Coachman asks him about taking advantage of Stephanie McMahon on SmackDown. Kurt says he doesn't owe Coach an explanation. My favorite is he said, "I don't owe you a 4th-string announcer and an explanation."
Yeah.
Like,
literally,
good
that's
God.
something I eat, so, yeah.
Hey, at least he didn't say that to Kevin Kelly, because, you know, if he would have said that to Kevin Kelly, he could go die.
Yeah, when
that
Collision debuted, Meltzer probably popped the big chubby.
Good Lord. Oh, yeah. He was at half mast. At least.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Stephanie McMahon later walks in looking for Triple H. Coach says that he's not there, but Kurt is. And she walks off. Later, Kurt Angle is seen walking into Stephanie's locker room while smiling. We now go to Frosted Tips Michael Cole, who is standing by with Shane McMahon.
He really had that hair.
Yeah, right. Like, dude, you look like a reject from NSYNC, man. Like, what is going on? But the interview with Shane McMahon is cut short when Steve Blackman starts walking towards him, and Shane takes off. Shane's a hardcore champion, you see, and it's a 24/7 rule. But
wasn't it relaxed for this match or something like that?
I don't know. They didn't say that.
I feel like they talk about it. Yeah, building up to it. It's been relaxed for this match. Nobody can interfere.
Well, if nobody could interfere, then they ruin that.
Yeah, right. That's happened multiple times.
But I will say, this is not to spoil something that comes up later in the show, but they try to interview Shane twice in this night. They don't ask him a single damn question about his match. Like, they just want to know, what do you think about what's going on with your sister? Who gives a crap?
Yeah, you don't want to put any attention on the match that he's going to steal the whole show with, but or partially.
Right. But up next, it is Road Dogg versus X-Pac, or the Roadie versus
I believe
the
on a
123
previous
Kid.
show we mentioned that he would never get over, right?
Yeah, right. Well,
that was cute.
Well, no, Dave's actual wording of it was he said that Brian Armstrong, who if anybody doesn't know is a Road Dogg, he had a dark match and nobody gave a damn and he didn't get over. Here, though, yeah, that's
place
it's a bit
blue.
Right. But this goes 4 minutes, 42 seconds. The only note I have is X-Pac hits the X Factor to win. Uncle Dave gives it 3/4 of a star. I give it a star. What say you?
Star.
Yeah.
I promise it's going to get better, folks.
Yeah, in certain areas. After the match, X-Pac grabs the mic to say they found out who the better man is, but they still make a great team. Road Dogg shakes his hand before getting behind him, dry humping him, and then hitting the Stretch Armstrong. Like, what the... Like, he just bent him over and simulated foot bucking. Like,
Bisagra.
Think Hulk Hogan, Yeti, Halloween Havoc 1997.
Or don't think that.
Or no, I'm sorry, 95, not 97. Yeah, that, good God, man. Wait, was it 95? Is that what I'm thinking of?
It was 95, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But Chyna's walking backstage now when Eddie Guerrero tells her how much he wants to make her happy. Chyna says that one of us is going to get lucky tonight. We then go to Val Venus, who's not quite in the right to censor yet, but he's not like the porn star bro anymore. He's just wearing like plain white, and he chopped his hair off. Yeah. But we go to him and Trish Stratus' locker room where Trish says that people want to see her in a centerfold more than Chyna. I mean...
Any techno lies.
Venus says that no one cares about that, and it's all about the Intercontinental title tonight. Trish reminds Val that if not for her, he wouldn't even be the champion. Bro, his last name rhymes with penis, bro.
I get it.
God. Yeah, right. What if his name, like, what if his name was Pal Penis?
Wow.
You could do that. No? Anyway.
I'll go no.
We're reminded that Raw is War comes on at 11 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. tomorrow. I hadn't read the news first, so I thought it was for the damn dog show.
The dog show's only in February.
Yeah, see, I always forgot about it, but this always pissed me off because at the time, I usually, because I had school the next day, I'd go to bed at 10, so I'd catch the first hour of Raw and tape the second hour. And here, I had to tape both hours because it came on hella late. But
are you allowed to use hella?
I have in the past, so I don't know. You're my get out of jail free card again. I'll still never forget that NorCal versus SoCal video where the guy was like, "Don't you dare use the H word on me." Anyway, this match is Val Venus, who is the Intercontinental Champion, and Trish Stratus versus Eddie Guerrero and Chyna. It is a mixed tag team match for the Intercontinental title, meaning whoever gets the pin gets the title.
Right.
I thought this was a Russoism, but, well, it's definitely that. But it's like, it's not just Russo anymore, because we've established he's been gone for a while. Gone forever, bro. I've made this point before. It's like, if somebody rips a rank fart in the elevator and then it sticks around for the next few floors, that's what Russo is. But this goes for 7 minutes, 13 seconds. I will say this was a lot better than I expected. Not saying much because I expected complete garbage. In the end, Chyna hits Trish with a gorilla press slam to win because, of course, Uncle Dave gave this dose stars. I gave it 2.5. What say you?
I gave it 2.
It was okay. Eddie and Val kind of saved it. Chyna was okay. Trish was still learning. But after the match, Eddie embraces Chyna before the referee hands Chyna the IC title. While Eddie puts the belt around her, Val Venus gets angry at Trish outside of the ring. We now get video from WWF New York the previous night. I remember this growing up. They'd always have to show us footage from WWF New York.
I'll let you know that there was a restaurant there.
Yeah, right. We now go to Stephanie McMahon getting her makeup done, talking to the makeup woman about if Kurt Angle is good looking. Stephanie says that he's a good kisser. I don't care about any of this, man. I know it's like the angle, leading into the main event. I just don't give a damn. And is it just me?
Soap opera crap.
Yeah. And is it just me, or does, the world champion, The Rock, feel like a third wheel in this feud? It's like, It's between Triple H and Kurt Angle, and The Rock is just kind of there with the belt. Weird. But anyway.
It's been a lame ass feud that they just shoehorned him in for the title, I believe.
Yep. And they had to add him in there because they're like, well, the belt's got to be on the line somewhere. So we'll just cram The Rock into this feud. Why? Reasons. Speaking of why, reasons, up next, it is Tazz versus Jerry the King Lawler. Goes just under 4.5 minutes. So
and this is a barn burner.
Oh, yeah. Tazz comes to the ring in sunglasses and a cowboy hat. You notice it's a black cowboy hat with like his 13 logo around his.
Yep. I thought that was great.
Freaking stupid, man. Like, what the hell? But he's got the walking stick and he's acting blind. I guess he's like mocking JR. Like, dude, he's like relentless on JR. Like, did JR like fornicate his, like, mess with his mother or something?
He insulted his son Hook and said he'd never be a good wrestler.
Yeah, right. It's like the way that like Tazz is going at JR so hard. It's like, dude, like what happened, man? Did you find him in bed with your mom? Like what is going on here? But anyway, I'm never calling you dad. Wow.
Good grief, you said that.
I mean, and these two guys, by the way, are both in AEW now. So there you go. But anyway, he comes out, he gets in JR's face. This is until King punches him. Part of the way through the match, Tazz goes to talk trash to JR again. For reasons. Ref gets bumped, and Tazz locks in the Tazz mission. Jim Ross grabs a glass candy container and shatters it over Tazz's head.
Right.
This
because
is
all
real.
the years of wrestling has always been a candy container just sitting there, right?
Yep, this is real. This happened. The ref now wakes up to count the 3 for Lawler. Uncle Dave gave it a 1.25 stars. I gave it a 1.5 stars. What say you?
We're back down to 1 star.
Yeah. God.
I feel like I was lying when I told people this would get better.
Just wait for the next couple matches. But after this, Jim Ross says that he actually cut his hand from the glass and it made him bleed.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
Oh, man. This is ridiculous. Anyway, backstage, Lillian Garcia approaches Shane McMahon to ask about freaking Stephanie again getting kissed by Kurt. God, ask him about his match up next, man. Shane makes it clear.
Bro, nobody cares about your match, bro.
Yeah, it's all about this other storyline that's effed up, bro. But Shane makes it clear that he doesn't have time for this, and then Steve Blackman chases him while carrying a kendo stick and a trash can. Up next, it is Shane McMahon.
It's a metaphor for the match.
Shane McMahon is defending the hardcore title against Steve Blackman in about 10 minutes. I will say the offense in this one was kind of insane. Like, Steve Blackman was fun to watch sometimes. Test and Albert, now, TNA, run in to team up with Blackman.
Not Russo's.
He's not here, people. But
didn't we mention this earlier that we occasionally say that? And
yeah, gotta throw it in there. But on the stage, Blackman ends up getting the upper hand and taking out Albert and Test. Shane climbs the scaffolding on next to the stage, and Blackman follows him, smacking him with a Singapore cane while he climbs. Finally, they get to the top, and Blackman cracks Shane twice really hard in the back, and Shane drops straight back off the scaffolding through the stage.
Straight to hell.
Yeah, right. You can go to hell. Straight to hell. And the crowd goes wild for this. Bro, he died! Yay! But Blackman then does a diving elbow drop onto Shane, and pins him to win. Yikes.
This
Uncle
was
Dave,
insane.
yeah. This is all worth it for that last spot. Uncle Dave gave it dose and a quarter. I gave it 2.5. What say you?
For a hardcore match, I gave it 3.
It was fun. I could have done without
It just reminded me of when stuff like this was special. Can't lose his appeal when it happens every damn week.
Yeah, right. They'd set aside like certain matches for it. It's like, this is the hardcore match, and this is probably one of the only times you're going to see weapons on this card. So, not every damn match. But, yeah, it's back. By the way, it's back when the 24/7 title, like, people actually gave a damn about it and wanted to see it. Just putting that out there. But a dude with a sick-ass gray mullet helps load Shane onto a stretcher before he's taken out. Did you see that guy?
Hell yeah.
That mullet was sweet. Anyway, Test and Albert go with Shane to the back. That was it. I really could have done without Test and Albert here. It just...
Why? You don't want no TNA?
Not here. About to get some TNA here soon, but this is not the one I'm searching for. So now we go to Stephanie McMahon in her locker room, losing her mind over Shane. Kurt Angle comes in to check on her and hugs her. Mick Foley now comes in to tell Stephanie that Shane may have landed, quote, on his kisser, and they'd better go check on him. Ooh.
He literally landed on his back.
Yeah, right. I'm like, isn't Kisser the face? I don't know. I will say this, though. Screw Mick Foley here for wearing that Twins jersey. Mick Foley? Go screw yourself.
It made no sense. I mean, I did in North Carolina. What the hell does that to do with Minnesota?
Yeah, right.
North Carolina doesn't really have any teams, though.
I wonder how many miles outside of North Carolina the Twins play. But you now go to this match. It is Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit. It's a best 2 out of 3 falls match. It goes about 13 minutes. We get a jump start on this one. By the way, we're going to get like pretty much jump starts for the rest of the card after this. But Jericho loses the first fall, tapping out to the crippler crossface. Jericho wins the second fall after Benoit taps out to the walls of Jericho. The final fall comes when Benoit rolls through with a pin and grabs the ropes to where the referee can't see, getting the pinfall win. Uncle Dave gave this 3.25 stars. I gave it 3.5. What say you?
I gave it 3. Loved it.
Really good. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but I thought it was really good. So there's that. They've had a lot of great matches between these two. We now see Triple H entering the building, which is always exciting when you get to see a guy walking. And now we go to... Yeah. My God, Triple H, who, is in the main event, and we knew he was going to be here. He's here! Which just means we're going to get more soap opera BS. Yay. Up next, this
BS.
match.
It's good stuff.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I don't know what I was thinking.
Me, right?
But up next is most talked about match on this entire card. Amazing match. It is Edge and Christian defending the WWF World Tag Team titles against the Dudley Boyz and the Hardy Boyz in a TLC match. It goes just shy of 15 minutes. By the way, these are my favorite look for the WWF Tag Titles ever.
I wish they'd bring those back.
I know, those looked so awesome. These are, this was my favorite look ever. They changed them slightly from the early 90s, but not huge. They pretty much look the same. And I just thought they looked cool. They had a unique look to them. But we get a jump start when the Hardys run in and attack the Dudleys. Lita runs out at one point and shoves the ladder over with Edge and Christian on top. Matt ends up getting shoved off the top of the ladder through 2 tables outside by Devon, and then Lita eats a spear by Edge. Her head may or may not have cracked that ladder on the floor when she went down.
I still to this day can't tell.
Yeah, right. It looks like it missed it, but she's holding her head, so I don't know. It may just because of how she hit, but I don't know. Devon and Jeff now climb up and hang from the titles. Devon falls first, and then ENC knock Jeff down with one of the ladders. After this, Edge and Christian both climb a ladder together to pull the tag titles down to win. Uncle Dave gave this 4.5 stars. I gave it 5. What say you?
Yeah, I gave it 5 as well. Ironically, not as good as WrestleMania 17, but close.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of the shining lights on WrestleMania 17, by the way. But we now go backstage with Triple H going off on Stephanie about her kissing Kurt on SmackDown.
Did you notice, by the way, that the Hardys lost in their hometown?
Oh, man, they should have threatened to quit the company. How dare they? Actually, I think they're from... Wait,
well, I should say home state.
Yeah. Where the hell? Is it North Carolina that they're from? Okay.
I believe so.
I always get the Carolinas confused. South Carolina's the one with the beach. But Stephanie McMahon said that she was out of it on SmackDown and Kurt took advantage of her. Triple H says that after tonight, Kurt Angle will be out of their lives forever. Stephanie reassures Triple H that he's the only man for her. Sure. How many of these feuds did we have, by the way, where it's like Stephanie was like...
Too many.
Yeah, it's like she was backing up Jericho, she's backing up Kurt, she's backing up Triple H, like, ugh. Anyway, up next, this effing match. It is...
How dare you?
It is the Cat with Al Snow versus Terri with Perry Saturn in a Thong Stink Face match.
Yep. This is a real match.
Right.
Yeah, this goes about 3 minutes, 6 seconds. So the Cat is barely wearing anything. Terri comes out and strips, but Perry Saturn comes out to cover her up with a towel. Saturn tries carrying Terri off to safety at one point, but Al Snow clocks him and tosses Terri back in the ring. This mostly consists of the Cat shoving Terri all around the ring. She hits a Bronco Buster on Terri at one point, and then Al Snow, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, distracts the ref so that Saturn can shove the Cat away from a potential stink face. Terri gets kicked off of a stink face attempt and headbutts the ref in the junk. This allows the Cat to blast her with Al Snow's head. Real sentence.
Giggity.
Give her the stink face and win. Uncle Dave gave this a dud. For the visuals alone, I gave it a star. What'd you give it?
A whole star.
Yeah, this sucked.
No.
Yeah. Either way, that like, what the hell was this doing on pay-per-view, man? Was this really something you needed to pay for?
Well, there's some pervs that would.
Yeah.
Bro. Not Russo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this drew the house, man. All 18,000.
Rumor is they got some big bonuses after this.
Oh, they got some big something. Perry Saturn now carries Terri away as Cat sits on Al Snow's shoulders to celebrate. He then spins her into the powerbomb position to celebrate some more. Good God in heaven, man.
Again, not Russo.
Right. We now get a view from WWF New York where the APA are stealing booze.
It's not a friendly tavern, but...
Yeah, right. Up next, it is The Undertaker versus Kane, technically in 6.5 minutes. I say technically, well, I'll get to it here in a second, but we get a jump start as The Undertaker jumps Kane in the aisleway. The Undertaker actually purposely rips off a piece of Kane's mask during the match. I think Kane bleeds at one point, I couldn't tell. In the end, we get a good look at Kane's face as The Undertaker completely ripped his mask off, and Kane doesn't hide his face very well at all. Kane takes off, and commentary points out that a bell never rang, so this wasn't even technically a match. Uncle Dave gave it a half a star. I gave it a 1.5 stars for what the hell it was. Did you rate it?
I gave it 1. I didn't realize it wasn't a match till the end.
Right. I know at one point they were like, have we even heard a bell? And then after that, I kind of just lost track. But then at the very end, they're like,
well, we got a jump start and an afterbirth, despite there being no match.
Yeah, right. I just like how the camera.
I got a Mattel figure of this Undertaker. It came with Kane's mask.
Nice. I love how like the camera just like gave no F's, and they like didn't even try to not film his face. By the way, like anybody who watched this pay-per-view, you knew what the hell Kane looked like.
He looked like my old dentist.
Like what?
He looked like my old dentist.
Oh God.
I wasn't sure you were going to get that.
Yeah. Good Lord. Anyway, Kurt Angle makes a call from his locker room, and we see Stephanie McMahon get a call while watching Triple H get ready for his match. She answers and pretends that it's her mom. When Triple H asks to speak to her, Kurt hangs up the phone.
That was clever.
Yeah. But anyway, that thing takes us to our second to last break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the main event right after this.
Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan. Yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah. Same mother and father.
Your room was...
we shared the room.
Shared a room?
We shared the room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah, we go way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast?
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The... Broadcast. Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah, well...
What do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies. Go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. I nearly stuffed up the ending.
No, it's all right. Good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at The Broadcast Podcast.
Yeah, but we don't spell it with a C. We spell it with a K.
Sorry, mate.
Take it easy.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks.
And we're back.
We're back.
Before we get to the main event, Kurt Angle comes out and grabs the microphone, says that a lot of people want him to apologize for kissing Stephanie McMahon on SmackDown. Angle says that he only apologizes for not doing it sooner. He says that he gave his all to this country in the Olympic Games, and he gave Triple H's wife the kind of passion that Triple H never could give her. Good God.
No.
And then years later, Jeff Jarrett, anyway.
Man, it's all kinds of bad, huh?
Yeah, right. I think it worked out for Kurt. Have you seen his current wife? All kinds of roll tide. This next one, and she's Italian, so I don't know, if people are into that sort of thing, but I am.
Willie, this pervy.
Right. Hey, you like Deonna Purrazzo, so you get it.
No, I don't. I wish. Never mind.
The main event is for the WWF World Heavyweight Title. It's The Rock defending against Kurt Angle and Triple H in a triple threat match. It goes for 20 minutes, 9 seconds. We get a jump start again.
Sure, we'll call this a triple threat match.
Yeah. We get a jump start before The Rock even comes out as Triple H charges out and goes after Angle. I like how The Rock was just like, whatever.
This is actually a jump start that made sense.
Yeah, right. But my question is, the bell didn't ring until The Rock got in the ring. Why didn't The Rock, like a smart man, wait until they just like basically killed each other and then came out and picked up the scraps?
Well, keep going. There's a reason for it.
Yeah. Well, Triple H attempts to pedigree Kurt through the Spanish announce table, and it busts before Triple H can jump, and Kurt cracks his face right on the table, knocking him goofy.
That is a legit concussion, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's okay or not to play.
In the face! In the face!
He's okay, so we can joke about it. He didn't die or anything, so. But anyway.
Just the momentum of this match died.
Yeah, a bit. But Anyway, Triple H pulls the sledgehammer out right as The Rock's music hits and the babies hit the roof. I think he was just a little bit over, Greg.
Just a tad.
But Kurt has to sit on the side and get checked out by the EMTs. Kurt's being stretchered away, but Triple H stops it and wheels Kurt back down the aisle to beat on him some more. Stephanie McMahon ends up coming down to check on Kurt and leaves with him before coming back out to ringside for Triple H. She takes the WWF title and goes to hit The Rock, but accidentally hits Triple H with it. Who could have foreseen?
Blast him in the face.
Yeah, you know where she hit him, Greg?
In the face! In the face!
But The Rock attempts to hit her. Triple H saves her and demands that she go to the back. To the back!
To the back!
In the back, we see Stephanie begging Kurt to go back to the ring to help Hunter, and Kurt says that he'll do it for her. Why the F would he go to help her, or help Triple H, when he's in the match and has the potential to win the world title himself? This is all kinds of stupid.
Well, we're using logic.
Yeah. We later see Stephanie walking
That
angled
tends
to the
to
ring.
present a problem in anything. Logic.
Right. Stephanie walks angle to the ring. Triple H hits a pedigree on The Rock after Kurt tripped The Rock, and then pulls Triple H off the cover. But when he pins The Rock, he only gets a near fall. Triple H gets Stephanie to get the sledgehammer, but Kurt intercepts it. When Triple H goes to clothesline Kurt, Kurt ducks, and Triple H wipes out Stephanie. Kurt blasts Triple H with the sledgehammer and gets a 2 count when The Rock pulls him off and throws him out of the ring. The Rock finally hits the people's elbow on Triple H for the pinfall win. The goofiest finisher in all of wrestling. Uncle Dave gave this 3 3/4 stars. I gave it 3.5. There was a lot of shit going on. What say you?
I gave it 3 only because I know that everything had to be changed because of what happened to Kurt.
Yeah, and you know what, man? Kurt went out there and soldiered through it, man. Like, good grief. This, I gotta say, would never happen today. Ever.
Hell no.
You think they would have let him go back out there? Just not even a slight chance of that. Either way. The Rock celebrates his win for the crowd as Kurt Angle carries the unconscious Stephanie to the back, Hulk Hogan, Miss Elizabeth style. Only this time, Kurt does have lust in his eyes. So that does it. Like, even the Rock celebration is overshadowed by, let's look at Kurt and Stephanie. Like,
it's true.
World champ up on the, the champ is up on the stage, man.
Yeah, and we got all this going on down here.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, who cares about that? We got this drama over here. Good God, lick a butt, man.
What?
That brings... You heard me. I stand by what I said. We get to the end of this show now. On the other end of our final break, it's final ratings time, and we'll tell you what's coming up next week on the podcast.
Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper of TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. Expert fantasy advice, free contests, leading expert medical and legal analysis, and most importantly, you. Interact with us on all social media platforms or check us out at tssfantasy.com. You can hear us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Check out the fun today and be a part of the most interactive fantasy show around. TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan McCarthy, and I'm the host of the No Credentials Required podcast. Start your work week with the Monday Drop-In, where I talk about the sports beat in the Capital District, also known as the Mighty 518, as well as Metro New York sports from an upstate point of view. I also give a life lesson from a weekly sports story, so you might learn something from that. I also have a midweek podcast where I interview different sports personalities and talk about a wide array of topics. Take a listen and subscribe on your preferred podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also check out our social media channels on Twitter and Instagram, BellyUpNCR, and Facebook.com/BellyUpSportsNCR. We're a part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network in association with Godzilla Media. No credentials required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/main event marks.
And we're back.
We're back.
Final ratings here. Internet Movie Database gave this 7.5 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 7.72 out of 10. I, too, gave it a 7.5 out of 10 for C+. What say you?
Solid C+.
Yeah, the main event was goofy, but it was pretty decent. The Undertaker-Kane match was a mess because it just never got started. TLC was awesome. Jericho-Benoit was awesome. And the Hardcore title match was fun to watch. So, I guess as far as mixed tag matches go, the one for the IC title was decent. Everything else on the card was just...
Yeah, there were a few really big clunkers.
Yeah, right. The first third of the card was just like crap. Like whenever you start off with right to censor, it's got to be a banger, man.
Oh hell yeah!
And Road Dogg versus X-Pac, I'm shocked it wasn't better than what it was. It was like it was okay. It was just like barely okay. I don't know. I'm disappointed in that one. That does it for that, man. Next week, it's double main event week already. It's the second to last week of August. So we're bringing you dose shows for the price of one. And the price of one is free. So you get 2 free shows. Doubling your
Unless you want to pay us for it.
Yeah, then by all means, I'll set up an account to send money through. I'll set up a Venmo. How about that? It'd be like those girls on their bachelorette party or whatever that use that window chalk and it's like Venmo me to buy me a drink or whatever. It's like
you know how many of those I saw on my trip to Vegas?
What?
You know how many of those I saw on a trip to Vegas?
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. It's like why? Why would I just buy you a drink? Like you're basically panhandling on the highway. Like no thanks. Like, I don't know you, and you doing that makes me think I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Am I being too harsh here? Or...
Just a tad. But...
Yeah, well, all of you can go F yourself. Anyway, next week, our first show of the week, we're bringing you another Ring of Honor show. This one's more current from the year 2017. Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 15. I have not watched this yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good one. Either. Yeah, should be a good show. Cody is in the main event, taking on Mitsuharu Misawa for the ROH title. Cody had an interesting run as a Ring of Honor champion, I'll say that. So that's the main event there. Yeah. And the bonus show next week, next Friday, from 2018, a year later, we're bringing you NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4.
I was there.
Wow. Well, what is that? Seis? Is that 4?
Yeah.
Or no, wait, no. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. That's it. Cuatro.
Oh, Seis is 6. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's.
I don't even Spanish, bro.
Yeah. How dare you? You don't even know 4. This is NXT
grave.
This is NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Cuatro. So for all the Puerto Rican listeners from Brooklyn out there, that should be fun. The main event is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Wrestling going head-to-head for the NXT title. And then 2 weeks from now, August 30th, we're wrapping up the month with a third and final SummerSlam of the year, SummerSlam 2014. That one is technically not where the name started, but this is the first time we really got to see Suplex City in action.
Brock Lesnar, bitch.
Brock Lesnar, just speaking of bitch, he made John Cena his. Just wow, ate his ass up, and not in the way that Nicki Minaj raps about.
Good Lord.
That is coming up for the rest of the month. And that does it for us today. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
It was fun.
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting show. Getting to reflect back at the death of WCW and all that. So, yeah. All right, we'll see you all next week for Double Main Event Week. Hitting you with Ghost shows. It's Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor 15, and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4.